Hi, my name is Megan Considine, and my issue is on, does the Affordable Care Act violate religious freedom? And I am on the pro side. The Affordable Care Act is also known as Obamacare, or ACA. It was signed into law on March 23, 2010. Its plan was to extend insurance coverage to millions of uninsured Americans, implement measures that will lower healthcare costs, improving system efficiency, and to eliminate industry practices that include denial of coverage due to pre-existing conditions. Overall, the Act aims to increase the rate of Americans with health insurance and lower the overall costs of health care. It requires that all insurance policies cover all forms of basic preventative care without copay, including well woman, well child visits, and more. It's mandated by the federal government that the employer's insurance companies used for health services provide contraceptives, abortion services, and sterilization services. So the government believes that by having these insurance companies providing women with these preventative services will be a step to better Planned Parenthood and fewer pregnancies. And at first, I thought this was a good option to have available to women, and then I realized and did my research on how it does violate our First Amendment rights to have our freedom to exercise religion freely. So now I'm going to talk about the issue. The First Amendment is a constitutional right for the freedom to exercise religion, and it prohibits the making of a law that disrespects the establishment. Religious organizations, such as churches, are exempt from the mandate, but nonprofits, such as religious schools and hospitals, were not. The insurance health policy requires that these nonprofits be provided preventative care services, which is something they do not believe in, as they believe it gives them an option for what they believe to be abortifacient, which are abortion-like drugs, such as Plan B. So there are many religious organizations that believe life begins at conception. When the Affordable Care Act was implemented, it exempted houses of worship, which are churches, to not receive these preventative services or have them available to them, as they believe these services to be abortion-like and is something they are clearly against and don't believe in. However, nonprofit organizations such as religious schools, religious hospitals, Catholic charities, and more have some employees that are not of the same faith or value system and or providing services to non-Catholics. Therefore, they cannot get exempt from this insurance policy. So this is kind of like saying, because you're not all Christians, you cannot get exempt from this rule. So there are many religious organizations that believe life begins at conception. So they believe when the egg is fertilized, it has the same rights as any other human being. There should be no option available to get rid of human life due to their belief system. However, the Affordable Care Act gives them this option, and it's an option they do not want available to them because it violates their First Amendment rights and their freedom to exercise religion freely. When you force somebody to pay for somebody else's contraception, including forms of contraception that many religions view as abortifacients, you're treading on religious difficult territory. So even though there are insurance companies that are paying for these preventative services, it does not make it okay for these services to be imposed on everyone, as everyone comes from different belief backgrounds and different religions. And a lot of people can view these things as abortion-like drugs as well. So now I'm going to show you guys a video from 2012 of Congressman Tim Murphy explaining how the Affordable Care Act violates the freedom of religion.
Christians into this fold, you can't do this. What you're missing here is because someone else is paying for it, somehow that makes sense. If I go to a tire store, which I recently did, it was buy 3, get 1 free tires, I know I'm paying for that extra tire by the other 3 being pumped up, or someone else is paying for it by their costs going up somewhere else. It is one thing. I've searched for ways of trying to help you understand, and I don't know, maybe the administration just refuses to understand, so therefore can't happen. Whether or not you have someone else pay for it, or whether something else is under the guise of being free, as long as it is imposed upon someone to have this available, that is still a violation of their faith, which gets into the First Amendment. I don't understand why this isn't clear.
Well, first first of all, I think the tire analogy is not quite accurate. Insurance
Well, who's
is
going to
about
pay for
a balance of
who's
risk,
going to pay for the
providing. We know because it was done in the Federal Employee
who pays
Health Benefit
who pays
Plan.
for it? There's no such thing as a free
The
service.
reduction in a number of pregnancies compensates for the cost of contraception. The overall plan,
So by
according
not
to the National
having
Business
babies
Fund,
born,
goes
we're saving
down,
money.
not up.
I just want to get this on the record, Mr. Chairman. So you're saying by not having babies born, we're going to save money in health care?
Providing contraception as a critical.
So this video talked about how people are still paying for these preventative services through taxes and whatnot, even when insurance companies say that these are free preventative options. By imposing this option to be available for everyone with the insurance plan, it then violates the rights of freedom of religion, as some people and organizations do not believe in these kinds of services. It's a violation of their faith just by saying you can have the option available to you. This is the government's way to save money by providing these contraceptives. Then, like she said, less babies will be born. So as I am on the pro side, I will be providing 3 cases in which people's religious rights were violated. And the first one is the Little Sisters perspective. In 2012, the Little Sisters School issued a statement that with good conscience, they cannot directly provide or collaborate with the provisions of services that conflict with Catholic teaching when providing health insurance benefits for employees of their homes for the aged. Based on their faith, committing intrinsically evil actions such as sterilization, contraception, and induced abortions are seen as not morally justifiable. The Affordable Care Act provides the school with these preventative services in which they have the option to use. Their religious beliefs and rights are being violated as a result of the Affordable Care Act imposing these options to be available for them to use even when they believe there should be no option available to them to even consider aborting a baby. Another perspective is the religious company owner's perspective. And insurance policies that cover birth control violates the religious freedom of the company owners. The owners of these companies share the belief that a woman is pregnant as soon as there is a fertilized egg, and that the fertilized egg has the same rights as a born person. They also claim that the Affordable Care Act forces them to cover abortifacients, with most pointing to emergency contraception methods such as Plan B to make their case. People with these beliefs don't want to be covered or given the option for something they don't agree with or believe in. Even if insurance companies are paying and providing for these preventative services, as long as it is imposed upon someone to have the option available, it is violating their First Amendment rights. Next is the Beckett Fund perspective. An organization such as the Beckett Fund have had complaints with the issue as it interferes with the religious beliefs they teach their students. The college has a sincere religious objection to providing coverage for Plan B, since they believe those drugs could prevent a human embryo, which they understand to include a fertilized egg implanted on the wall of the uterus, causing the death of that embryo. The college considers the prevention services like an abortion, in which they do not agree with. This is violating their religious freedom, as they are being forced to uphold the law even when they are believing and teaching something else. So that's like having condoms being provided at a religious college in which they are being taught to abstain from sexual intercourse until marriage, or that life begins at conception. Yet these preventative services go against what they believe in and are teaching, yet they're being provided on campus, which completely reverses what they are teaching. So now I'm going to talk about some stakeholders. The provision of contraception services, including employer-mandated coverage for preventative services, has been opposed by many religious organizations, contributing to heated debates about religious exemption for some organizations but not for others. This explains the unfavorable attitudes toward the Affordable Care Act focusing mainly on women. So the main point to highlight here is how some religious organizations are getting exempt and some are not. And some of the rules with the policy don't have good guidelines, as not everyone does come from the same religious background, and you can only get exempt if you are. There are statistics, as a poll has been taken on a woman's agreement or disagreement with the Affordable Care Act and religious beliefs. So overall, 27% of women agreed with the passage of the Affordable Care Act, 35% disagreed with it and said that it interfered with religious beliefs, and 38% did not know how they felt or were neutral with it. So the 35% that disagreed with the Affordable Care Act due to religious beliefs, while 27% agreed. And this just shows that more people already disagreed with it, other than the people who remained neutral. And I'm just confused on why there aren't more options available for this problem or issue, as clearly more people disagree with the act and how it does violate our First Amendment rights. Also, it directly impacts all women, because all women are receiving these preventative services with their insurance policy plans, and it will always be provided in this plan. And the Affordable Care Act also directly impacts religious organizations to have the abortion-like drugs available to their employees and or students. These organizations objecting to the act may not threaten the act entirely, but they do have the power to chip away at it and alter portions of it, as Obama has tried to make a compromise. Now, when Obama did try to make this compromise, these people felt like their religious beliefs were being compromised, and it did not go very well. Therefore, it failed completely. So the government profits by having these preventative services. It will decrease the number of pregnancies, which compensates for the cost of all the contraception and preventative services that they are providing. The religious community doesn't agree with this, as it interferes with their rights, as they believe once an egg is fertilized, it has the same rights as anybody else. So some solutions to this problem would be to have the option to opt out of the mandate. It needs to be easier to work around, as the set guidelines as to how you can get exempt from it. It's almost impossible to get exempt from it. So they just need to make it easier for this option to become available. And then also, if they could have a separate package available on the Obamacare Insurance Exchange, which, with the choice of these preventative services being provided or not, as some people don't believe in it and some people do. And that is my presentation. I hope you all learned something and can take some valuable information from this. And thank you all for watching.